I love this comic book, The Walking Dead, Book 17. Andrea punches Thomas and reaches for her gun, but the murderer knocks her down and disarms her. Lori finds Rick sitting outside, full of despair. She asks him if he is okay, and Rick reveals that he blames himself for Rachel and Susie's deaths, as he is the one that convinced Hershel to come live at the prison. Lori angrily rebukes this, as with all the dead roaming around now that it's warm, there is no telling what the situation's like on the farm, and adds that they have no time for Rick to blame himself. Rick apologizes, revealing that he hasn't slept since Chris and Julie died. Lori agrees that he needs to rest and goes on to ask him where he went yesterday. He tells her that he went back to the camp to dig up Shane and shoot him. Hershel sits frozen in his cell and just starts saying he's sorry. This infuriates Billy, who screams at his father, blaming him for Rachel and Susie's deaths. Andrew goes to visit Dexter and asks if he's okay. Dexter is not, as he feels like a prisoner again. Andrew offers to get Dexter anything he needs. Dexter believes Rick's group to be crazy, so traumatized by the outside world they thought the prisoners were living the high life locked in the cafeteria. Now Dexter claims they are killing each other and blaming it on them. He instructs Andrew to find a way into A Block, where the guards stored riot gear and weapons. Andrew says they can bust out of the prison in a blaze of glory, and Dexter agrees, stressing that this needs to happen before Rick's group decide to kill them all. He asks if Andrew can get in there, and Andrew tells him he can. Dale instructs Glenn and Axel in taking care of the walkers piled up on the fence, something they need to do if they don't want the sheer mass of the undead to knock the fence down. He takes a knife and points it against the walker's head through the fence, then jams the knife into its skull using a hammer. But he fails to pull the knife back out once the walker's corpse falls. Dale thinks he needs to think of another plan, but Glenn thinks his original idea is good and suggests nailing the blades through small pieces of wood so they won't fall through the fence. That way the walker would just slowly fall off the blade. Dale likes the idea, but Axel still wonders why they can't just hold on to the knife with a tighter grip. Tyreese and Carol are cleaning the basketball court. Tyreese thinks it's going to be really nice, but Carol says what would be really nice is some privacy, and Tyreese agrees. Carol points out that Alan is watching Sophia and spots a clean spot on the floor. She asks Tyreese if he wants to have sex. He's happy for that. She then takes her clothes off, and the two have sex on the floor. Carl and Sophia are talking about Alan. Sophia doesn't like him and says he scares her. Carl agrees, saying that Alan used to be nice, but now he's just weird. Switching the subject, he awkwardly tells Sophia that he has changed his mind and would like to be her boyfriend after all. He also tells her that he thinks she's pretty. Sophia is overjoyed to hear this, kisses Carl on the cheek, much to his annoyance. Suddenly, Andrea runs out into the yard screaming for help, with Thomas hot on her trail. Rick tackles Thomas and beats him severely, breaking his own hand in the process and mashing Thomas's face into a bloody pulp. Laurie tries to stop him, but it doesn't work. Eventually, Tyreese pulls Rick off Thomas. Glenn asks if Thomas is dead, and Rick replies that he isn't, yet. Laurie asks what he means by that, and Rick bitterly asks her if she would have just let Thomas go, hoping that the next time he kills, it's someone they don't know. He points out that Laurie was pretty angry with Dexter when she thought he killed the girls. Rick stresses that they have to stop Thomas from ever killing again. Laurie is disgusted with Rick's authoritarian tone and firmly believes that no killing means no killing, no matter what. She stresses that if they kill Thomas, they are no better than he is. She claims that exile is almost a worse punishment than death, with the added benefit of not having any blood on their hands. She also suggests locking him up in the prison. Andrea furiously declines these suggestions, not willing to sleep in the prison, knowing he could get out again, and not willing to throw him to the zombies unless they can watch him get devoured. She points out what he did to her, referring to the scar he made on her face, as well as the girls. Tyreese claims that in any case, they need to establish rules for this sort of thing, as they haven't done so yet. To this, Rick presents a simple law. You kill, you die. Dale agrees. Patricia cries that Thomas was so nice, and Laurie furiously asks Rick if he's just making the decision for all of them. Rick is confident in doing so, as the group put him in charge for a reason. Laurie calls Rick a prick, telling him that he's her husband, not her father, causing Rick to snap and tell Laurie to shut the up. With Laurie going back inside, Rick reaffirms his stance and declares they will hang Thomas tomorrow. Rick disappears within the prison walls. Laurie finds him and learns that he blames himself for the girls' murders. This is the first time she does something that makes me actually like her. She reminds Rick that it is not his fault. Nothing that has happened is Rick's fault. He was in a coma when the zombies started appearing and taking over. There's no way he could have stopped it. Rick cannot control other people's actions or the choices they make. He took everyone at their word, the prisoners and the group of survivors. He did not cause Hershel's daughter's deaths. Someone else was responsible for that. He brought them to the prison to keep them safe from walkers. There wasn't any way he could have known someone would start murdering from within. I definitely understand where he's coming from. Everyone voted him in charge. He's responsible for everyone's safety. In order to keep people safe, he has to stop all these weird side trips and be physically present. But he also needs to establish rules to maintain order and safety. Those rules, once agreed upon by everyone, have to be enforced. Who or whom will be the ones to enforce them? Hershel, I feel so bad for this poor man. In less than 2 weeks, he's lost 4 children. He only has Billy and Maggie left now. Billy is angry about the 2 girls, and he's blaming his father. It's not his father's fault that the 2 girls are dead. You could blame him for the other 2 deaths, because he kept so many walkers in the barn. It was not safe. They both got eaten by walkers trying to help him put another one in. If he was just killing those walkers, then those 2 children of his would still be alive. He was kind to still view the walkers as being able to be saved, but it was wishful thinking. I never expected Thomas to be the murderer. Chopping off a head is a pretty violent crime. It requires a lot of strength unless you have a guillotine or something of that nature. I'm horrified and shocked that he would kill children. There is no explanation regarding why he killed the 2 little girls. He doesn't give Andrea any real reason for wanting to chop her head off either. The guy is just a psycho. He was able to make everyone think he was just a boring, normal guy. He gave Rick a generic answer as to what his crimes were at their first meeting. I don't know if his goal is just to kill any female, but I would be curious to see if the book had gone in a way where he succeeded in killing Andrea, who he would have chosen as his next victim. Are these murders, these beheadings, just crimes of opportunity? I do need to be clear. I am thrilled that Andrea was able to fight him off and escape so that he could be exposed as the murderer. I also find it odd that Laurie is the only one fighting to save Thomas's life. When she thought Dexter killed the girls, she wanted justice immediately. I have to look at this from another standpoint as well. Dexter is a black man, and Thomas is a white man. I have to wonder if there's some racism going on in Laurie's head. She tries to make it about Rick and him acting like a king. I think she really wanted to call him a dictator, but he's not acting like that. His goal is safety and nothing more. He is a cop, so he follows the rules he was trained to follow. I don't think that Thomas should be treated differently in regards to two murders. And these are children that were murdered. In current society, once convicted, he's sent to a special part of the prison because everyone would be trying to kill him for harming children. Rick did, in a way, discuss Thomas's execution for his crimes. Laurie was the only one to say no. Most said nothing. In that situation, if you don't dissent, it is considered a yes vote. They don't have a lot of people left. Andrea made clear she wants him dead. Dale is also good with him being killed. Tyreese may not be fully up to speed and in the know about the deaths. It does seem like Rick tells him what has happened after Tyreese pulls him off Thomas. I understand Laurie's point of view on not having human blood on their hands, since they have to kill so many zombies. But at the same time, Thomas will continue to kill as long as he is alive. Others should not have to die because of Laurie not wanting him to be put to death.